Part 65. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 665. I should have listened to your advice in the beginning. Suddenly, Suchin said this. Although she didn't mention her last name, everyone knew who she was talking about. At first, Chu Xia told her Yao Xinchen's true face, but unfortunately she chose to believe Yao Xinchen in the end. Obviously, now I regret it. To this day, regret does not help. Zhao Qiwi wanted to comfort her, so he reached out and patted her shoulder. It's my fault that I didn't persist in persuading you. At that time, I couldn't listen to your advice. Suchin smiled bitterly and shook his head. I know my own character. I can't blame anyone. It's all my own fault. Qihui, whether a woman can live a good life depends on whether she can meet a good man. I don't know how long my delay has been. You have to take advantage of it. My cousin is from the same village as Zhang Wenyuan, but she said that Zhang Wenyuan's parents told people everywhere that a girl from the city took a fancy to Zhang Wenyuan and wanted to arrange jobs for the whole family. You have to express your attitude to Zhang Wenyuan now, otherwise, if you really regret it after he chooses someone else, it will be too late. Anyway, I have met so many men, but I have never seen one as long-term as Zhang Wenyuan. When he was admitted to college and you didn't go to school, everyone guessed that he would break up with you. But what happened? What did his family say? He will still come to you and help you. If you don't take a good look at such a man, you will definitely regret it in the future. This is all based on my own experience, so you have to listen. In the early summer, I secretly stroked my forehead and suffered a big loss, so I summed up this experience. Then I felt a little annoyed. Probably many people in this era would think so. So, was she going to watch Zhao Qiwi jump into the fire pit? As a child, you should be filial to your parents. Be responsible to family members, though. It would be really tiring to let one person provoke the whole family. As expected, when Suchin said that, the smile on Zhao Qiwi's face deepened. It's not as good as what you said, but he told me everything you said, and he also said, let me work hard. We will be admitted to the same university as him. That way, his parents will not be able to interfere with us. Qihui, you have a good life. Suchin looked at her with envy. In the future, when you become a college student and marry a college student, if you think about it these days, you won't be as ambitious as usual. Who knows if we can get into the exam? Hey, Zhao Qiwi sighed. If we can't get into the same university, we probably won't be able to get together, and then the college student marrying a college student you mentioned will no longer exist. In fact, we are the same. You are even better than me. At least you are a worker now. I am still a farmer. Farmers are also temporary. Just ask. Isn't it a sure thing that you want to be a worker? Suchin said and looked at Chu Xia. Right. Yes, Chu Xia nodded without thinking. If my sister is willing, this matter will definitely not be a problem. If I don't get into the university I want to go to this year, I can just choose my second choice. Xia, I can't leave this hole open to make it difficult for you in the future. It's not like you don't know what kind of character your sister Mai Feng is. If she really solves the problem of my status as a worker, she will definitely have to compete with me. Will you help her or not? I'm not saying you shouldn't help her, but with her temper, she doesn't worry about where she goes. Your second aunt hired her as a private teacher, and she only taught for a few months, and she wanted to grab the vacancy of the head teacher. As a result, no teacher in the school likes her now. If this continues, I don't think she will be able to work as a teacher for long, and her husband's family originally agreed to get married a year ago and get married next year, but things suddenly cooled down. Your second aunt quietly said something, saying that Jiang Junja wanted to regret the marriage, but now she didn't say it because of your second uncle's face. It is estimated that when he is transferred, the marriage will be over. Chu Xia really couldn't get close to Wang Meifeng. The last time I went to a wedding, the other party was jealous at first, and then tried every means to attract Zhou Mikang's attention. Later, after exhausting all means and failing to achieve the desired results, he frankly apologized to everyone. But her bet revealed her ambition. It's just that people like this naturally like to be in the limelight. Even if they figure it out at the time, they will still make the same mistake in other things later. A private teacher who has just been in the profession for less than a year dares to compete with seniors for power. Isn't this an obvious attempt to get rid of him? Regardless of whether there is any grudge between the seniors, when that time comes, they will definitely focus their firepower on the newcomer like her. This is instinctive. For the man who likes her, if he originally values maximizing interests, then of course he will not be able to choose her again when a new one appears to maximize interests and a woman with a gentler personality appears. There is also a key issue in this. She is only the niece of Zhang Qiuqing's wife and has little relationship with Zhang Qiuqing himself. The relationship between Wang Meifeng and her is not good, and the Qiang family must have heard about it. This means that it is impossible to get help from her. Therefore, in this case, it is not right for the Qiang family to choose Zheji. What an unexpected thing. However, if Qiang Junju really regrets his marriage, if his angry cousin does something inappropriate, will his aunt be able to bear it? No matter what, my aunt is one of the elders who deserves her respect the most. It really means that CAO and CAO arrived. Several girls here were still worried about Wang Meifeng, but she and her aunt went into the east room together. Suqin got off the Kong and said goodbye. I have to go home and help with the cooking, otherwise my mother will slander me again soon. Kiwi, I'll sleep with you tonight, and I'll go back to work early tomorrow morning. As he said this, he pushed a few people who were about to get off the Kong. Don't get down. I'm not an outsider. I can walk by myself. Zhao Kiwi took her legs back and said, then I won't be polite to you. I'll make a bed for you in advance to make sure you won't get cold. What I want is your words. Suqin waved her hand and quickly left Zhao's house. Sister Suqin has become a worker. Isn't her mother treating her badly? Luo Xiaoxiang asked curiously. It's much better than before, but Suqin has been outside for a long time, and I don't want to tolerate her anymore. Zhao Kiwi said and sighed, this person is really annoying to compare with others. Suqin told me that if her mother and aunt could trade it, she would be happy to live less than 30 years. I won't trade with her. Chu Xia stared at Zhao Kiwi with wide eyes, even if I live 50 more years, I won't trade with her. Zhao Kiwi poked her head in a funny way, look, you're anxious, but it's not true. It's just a casual talk. If you can get what you want just by talking like this, then it won't be a mess. Yes, Chu Xia smiled sheepishly. In fact, she was really nervous. Thinking about it, everything had gone smoothly since she came to this era, but she didn't understand why she came. What if God gave her a chance? Changed it? Bah, he secretly spat a few times, and Chu Xia himself was made speechless by himself. If it was so easy to change, wouldn't God be pierced through a sieve? Wang Meifeng opened the door and came in. She smiled at a few people and unceremoniously took off her shoes and got on the Kong. Why are you and aunt here? Zhao Kiwi asked. Sister, do you mean that you and I are not welcome to come over? Zhao Kiwi looked helpless. Can you please stop being so aggressive when you speak? How can I be irritated? I'm telling the truth. Wang Meifeng knew that neither Chu Xia nor Luo Xiaoxiang would help her, so she deliberately sighed. That's the bad thing about people who speak outright. If you are not careful, you can offend someone's circle. By the way, how's your review going, sister? I'm also taking the college entrance examination this year, do you know that? Seeing that she changed the topic, Zhao Kiwi followed the next words and replied, well, I heard from my aunt that you have been working very hard during this period. No matter how hard you work, you won't be sure. You took the exam once last year, and there is a professional tutor. Sister, we are cousins, you can't hide your clumsiness. There are still more than 4 months before the exam. I want to live with my sister from next month and review my homework with her every day. Unexpectedly, Wang Meifeng would make such a request. Zhao Qiwei was stunned and asked, "You don't want to teach anymore?" Wang Meifeng smiled and said, "Teach me, I can just leave and learn. That's so tiring. There are many teachers in school who can help you with tutoring, so why bother looking far away?" Sister, you are deliberately showing off my shortcomings. I don't believe you don't know about the bad relationship between the school teachers and me. They are incompetent themselves and are afraid that I will steal their position. How can they be willing to teach me if they are a bunch of small-minded people? Although he was extremely reluctant to stay with Wang Meifeng, the other party said so Zhao Qiwei couldn't refuse anymore and asked her to agree directly. He was reluctant and said vaguely, "Okay, as long as the grandparents agree, I have no problem." Wang Meifeng did not let her go. "As long as sister agrees, they will definitely agree." After a moment of silence, Zhao Qiwei simply said bluntly, "You know, I definitely don't want to be with you." Wang Meifeng was not angry, but smiled and said provocatively, "Sister, are you afraid that I will do better than you in the exam and you won't be able to show it off?" "No." Zhao Qiwei looked at her seriously, "I don't like your character. You are too selfish. If I really lived with you, you would never let me study quietly. Sister, you think too bad of me. I, Wang Meifeng, do like to be competitive, but I will never use such despicable means, especially to my own relatives, and even less so." "Means? Forget it, since sister has said this, it would be really boring if I continue to make shameless requests. I can see that none of you welcome me here, so I won't bother you." As Wang Meifeng got off the Kong and put on her shoes, Zhao Qiwei couldn't bear to get up and grabbed her. "It's not what you think. If you want to come, you can come." To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 666. One update arrived. Sister, I knew you wouldn't just watch me being bullied by others. Wang Meifeng tilted her buttocks on the Kong, snuggled up again, and then sat back to her original position. Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian rubbed their foreheads together. They were really defeated by these two sisters. One was really kind and the other was really good at pretending. The words were thrown out. Even if Zhao Qiwei now saw that Wang Meifeng was pretending before, he could not regret it. He could only knock out his teeth and swallow blood. "Sister, Chu Xia, Xiaoxian, I know that you all don't like me. Yes, I am a bit competitive, but do you know why I have such a personality? I have 3 brothers, and as long as I can remember, our family has not been welcomed by my grandparents, just because my mother is a husband and I am a girl. Later, my younger brother Jin Song was born. My grandparents finally started to smile towards my parents, but they still treated me the same as before. I was already sensible at that time, and of course I understood why they treated me so differently. I just thought that when I grow up, I must stand out and make them regret looking away. However, when I grew up, I knew clearly that as a rural girl, it was not easy to get ahead. I can't count on my relatives on my father's side, so I can only place my hope on my relatives on my mother's side. I know that only my second aunt can help me, so I am particularly close to my second aunt. In fact, my second aunt did fulfill everything I wanted. First, she went on a blind date with Jiang Junjia, and later she became a private teacher for me. I thought for a while. All my wishes have come true, and I can finally make my grandparents regret not paying enough attention to me. However, it turns out I'm still too naive. The reason why Jiang Junja is willing to be with me is that he needs the help of his second uncle. But now that he has a better backer, he has begun to alienate me. Private teachers are private teachers after all, and those teachers who graduated from normal schools are the most valued. Even if my teaching performance is as good as theirs, I will still be inferior to them. It dawned on me that I wanted to really stand out. It's really impressive. Only through my own efforts can I be more secure. I admit, Chu Xia's high marriage stimulated me. I always thought that I was more sensible and capable than Chu Xia, and I was no worse in appearance than Chu Xia. Why did she suddenly climb so high and look down on me? But later I understood. Everyone has their own destiny, and Chu Xia's destiny is better than mine. If I blame others because of this, it will only make my life worse and worse. But early summer. I also want to advise you that it is better to rely on yourself than to rely on anyone else, if you don't work hard. One day, you will regret it too. And that's my goal now. Work hard to get into normal school and become a people's teacher with a formal establishment. Find a good man who really likes me, marry me, and live my own happy life. Wang Meifeng took the initiative to tell these things, which was beyond Chu Xia and Zhao Qiui's expectations. In their impression, Wang Meifeng was a person who only showed off and never said no to herself. It's incredible to hear what I say, right? Wang Meifeng spread her hands. That's because I really understand life and know what I should live for. Sister, I know that after you promised me just now, you regretted it. You felt that I was playing tricks on you and taking advantage of you. Yes, I was playing tricks on you, but I did not take advantage of you. I think that one person can judge the shortcomings and the other can judge the strengths. You can teach me some questions, and I can definitely help you with some questions. The effect of the two of us reviewing together will definitely be much better than studying alone. I used to have a bad personality and was quite selfish. Of course, I am not that selfless now. However, when it comes to taking the college entrance examination, I don't think I will gain much by dragging you down. If we both take the college entrance examination, being married will only make others think more highly of our family, which is good for you, me, and our family. I have no reason to refuse this benefit. Zhao Qiui breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. Okay, let's work hard together. Wang Meifeng looked at Chu Xia again. The bet between you and me is cancelled. Second sister, why do I have the feeling that you have a complete understanding? Chu Xia looked at her in disbelief. Have you really figured it out? Wang Meifeng glared at her. Go, 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 what a great enlightenment, it sounds like you want to become a nun. I just have experienced too many things, and I understand more principles. The development of the matter was really beyond the expectations of many people, but it was a good thing after all. No matter how true or false what Wang Meifeng said, there was no need to doubt it now. After spending some time together, the answer would naturally come out. Especially Zhao Qiui, what she likes the most is this ending. Reviewing alone is too boring. It is indeed much better to have more people to accompany you than to be bored alone. In the following time, Zhao Qiui and Wang Meifeng chatted so enthusiastically that Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian were completely speechless. Just as Aunt Li Aiwan and Fat Aunt Zhao Yulan started to work on lunch, Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian took the opportunity to help evacuate. According to the usual custom, this meal must include dumplings. Sisters Zhao Yulan and Zhao Yuing are responsible for making noodles, cutting stuffing, and taking 2 rookies to make dumplings. Li Aiwan and Fat Aunt are busy chopping vegetables, garnishing, and stir-frying. Around lunchtime, Uncle Wang Xingui and Wang Meifeng's younger brother Wang Jinsong also came. Chu Xia smiled and teased the two of them. Uncle, Jinsong, are you here on the cusp of lunch? Wang Xingui blushed and explained, No, we first went to Jinsong's house to visit relatives, and then we hurried over. Wang Jinsong is 3 years younger than Chu Xia and has a fluffy beard. He is at the age when he is shy when meeting girls. Now he droops his head and blushes to the base of his ears. He does not dare to look at Chuseok and Luoxiok. Chuseok smiled and teased him, Jin-song, why don't you call me sister? Sister. The vague word sister came out of Wang Jinsong's throat. Luoxiok deliberately teased him, there is another one. Sister. This sister was more vague than the previous one, and her face turned purple. Who could hear you shouting so quietly? Zhao Yueying stretched out her hand to tug at her son's head and smiled sheepishly at the fat ant. A monk in a small temple can't live up to the occasion. The fat ant quickly said, Sister, my eldest son is also a boy. When he was the same age as Jin-song, he was not as generous as Jin-song. It will be fine in 2 years. Luoxiok quickly answered, that's right, if my brother teased him like this, he would have been annoyed by it long ago. You still know, the fat ant glared at her, you know that boys of this age have such tempers, and you deliberately make things difficult for them. Luoxiok giggled, Mom, I am here to help him learn his courage. Otherwise, how can he be so shy when looking for a wife in the future? The fat ant was so angry that she glared at her again and looked at Li Aiwan, sister-in-law, you have to be more patient in the future. This girl was pampered by me and her father. She doesn't have any shame when speaking of. Li Aiwan smiled happily, I like Xiaoxing's character, she is straightforward. Such children have no evil intentions and are easy to get along with. Luoxiok raised her eyebrows proudly, Mom, did you hear that? The fat ant had a look of helplessness on her face, look, she is so shameless. You say she is fat, but she actually gets out of breath. At this time, Wang Xingui had already brought Wang Jinsong into the east room. This was the first time for Wang Xingui to meet Zhou Mikang and Lin Wenbin. He was so nervous that he could not speak clearly. Wang Jinsong was okay, although he only asked questions and answered questions. But overall, he was not speechless like his father. For lunch, there was a table for the seniors and a table for the juniors, and they were divided into 2 rooms. Zhou Mikang and Lin Wenbin also took the initiative to come to the juniors' table. Luoxiok quietly nudged Chuseok and lowered her voice, here comes the litmus test to verify whether what Wang Meifeng just said is true or false. You think of her too simply. You have tried all kinds of methods before. No matter whether you really want to or not, it is impossible for her to send her up now. Do you think she is also Yemiru? Luoxiok nodded, indeed, there are not many people who are as shameless and idiotic as Yemiru. As Chuseok expected, Wang Meifeng ate the meal in silence and basically didn't say much. On the contrary, her brother Wang Jinsong, after the initial silence, began to chase Zhou Mikang and ask questions. However, I still don't dare to look at Chuseok and Luoxiok, embarrassing. Lin Wenbin deliberately teased him, Wang Jinsong, is your neck feeling a little uncomfortable? No. Wang Jinsong looked at Lin Wenbin with a puzzled expression, my neck is quite comfortable. Then why are you always tilting your head and not looking up? Wang Jinsong's face, which had returned to normal, turned red again, and he explained calmly, I feel more comfortable listening to my brother-in-law like this. Oh. Lin Wenbin nodded with a sudden look on his face, I thought you had a bad neck at a young age. When you are young, you have to pay attention to small problems. Otherwise, you will suffer from the elders before you get older. Wang Jinsong was an honest child, so he quickly explained with a serious face, Brother Lin, there is really nothing wrong with my neck. I didn't lie to you. Wang Meifeng glared at him, idiot, Brother Lin is teasing you. Chuxia is your cousin, and Xiaoxing is your future cousin. What are you embarrassed to see? Wang Jinsong drooped his head and said nothing. Obviously, he was very embarrassed to be told the central issue. Ha. Lin Wenbin rubbed his head happily, silly boy, I was like this when I was your age. Do you feel that when you see a girl who is not much different from you, no matter whether you are related or not? Do you feel particularly embarrassed about the relationship? Really? Wang Jinsong quickly looked up at him. Brother Lin, is everything you said true? To be continued. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 667. Second update. Lin Wenbin nodded and said to Wang Jinsong, why are you lying to me? However, in the next 3 to 5 years, you will definitely not be like this anymore. When you see a beautiful girl, you will be eager to look at it more. Chu Xia looked at him funny. Brother, what do you mean, you want to take a few more glances at the beautiful girls you see now? Lin Wenbin looked at his cousin with a calm face. Yes, if there is a beautiful girl, I will definitely look at her more. If there is. Luo Xiaoxian pondered for a moment and continued, Brother Lin, what do you mean, you basically can't see beautiful girls? Yes. Luo Xiaoxian rolled her eyes and asked, of the girls here, which one do you think is beautiful? Which one is above average, which one is above average, or inferior? Lin Wenbin glanced at her lightly, do you think I will answer? Then let me simplify the question. Can you tell me which one you think is the most beautiful? No need to ask, my sister must be the most beautiful. Lin Wenbin turned to look at Zhou Mikang, brother-in-law, do you agree with me? Luo Xiaoxian said first, does he dare to disagree? There's nothing to be afraid of. If I think Chu Xia is not the most beautiful, I will definitely veto him. However, in fact, Chu Xia is the most beautiful in our family. What can I say against him? Captain. Luo Xiaoxian smiled with a sly look on her face, I've discovered that as long as it's related to early summer, you talk a lot, otherwise, you basically talk about each word. Zhou Mikang nodded, yes, I observed it very carefully. Sister. Wang Jinsong finally dared to look up at Chu Xia. Brother-in-law is so kind to you, I feel relieved. Puff. Ha ha ha. Wang Jinsong's previous performance and his current expression were so joyful that everyone at the table burst into laughter. Wang Jinsong's face turned red again. I'm telling the truth. I'm my mother and I always say it at home, we are worried about a bad summer, so we are worried about it. Now, we just don't have to worry about it. Thank you, thank you. Chu Xia apologized repeatedly. Their laughter is kind-hearted, and I am very touched that you can say this. Brother, come on, I will give you a drink with water instead of wine. If your brother-in-law dares to bully me in the future, I will ask you to support me, okay? Okay, okay. Wang Jinsong looked confused, I'm afraid I'm no match for my brother-in-law. You'd better find more helpers. What a down-to-earth kid. Lin Wenbin liked Wang Jinsong like this very much, so he reached out and patted him on the shoulder, I'm not here right now. Let's deal with Zhou Mikang together then. Just about to agree. Catching Zhou Mikang's look, Wang Jinsong quickly changed his words, brother-in-law shouldn't bully my sister. If he does, I will definitely protect my sister. You can tell, finish this sentence. He's under a lot of pressure, though. Under the pressure of Zhou Mikang's eyes, he was able to fully express what he meant, which showed that he really treated Chu Xia as close as a relative. Because Wang Jinsong was several years younger than him, Chu Xia had not paid much attention to him before. In addition, when they met before, Chu Xia had not yet come out of the disappointment of this era, so he basically didn't even know what Wang Jinsong looked like. Can't remember clearly. Therefore, she was particularly happy to see Wang Jinsong protecting her like this today. Unlike Zhang Xiajun from her second aunt's family, Wang Jinsong's protective character moved her even more. Of course Zhang Ziajun also defends her, but Zhang Ziajun has a sweet mouth and must say what he thinks. Sometimes, what he says may be a little more embellished. As for a child with Wang Jinsong's personality, he doesn't talk much, but when he does say it, it has the meaning of making a promise. In fact, to be honest, the aunt and uncle have very good personalities. Wang Jinsong just followed them. As for Wang Maifeng, or as she said, she was influenced by the patriarchal thinking of her grandparents, which led to her becoming more mature. Somewhat utilitarian. With Wang Jinsong as a pistachio, the atmosphere among the juniors became more and more lively. Later, Wang Jinsong also let go and no longer hung his head just looking at the rice in his bowl. Seeing her younger brother integrating into everyone so quickly, Wang Maifeng was very happy, but also a little sad. If she did this, no one would believe it, right? But who can blame it? Without her first year of junior high school, others would not reward her with 15 years of success. In fact, since she was a child, although her grandparents were not close to her, her parents were very good to her. They did not always favor her younger brother Wang Jinsong in everything, and her younger brother had never been arrogant because of their favor. What's the point? She would leave a portion of anything interesting to eat for her. Speaking of it, it was because she had always harbored a vague hostility towards her brother and was not close enough to him. Wang Jinsong suddenly said, "My sister also cares about Chu Xia. She didn't care before, but now she is different from before. She knows she is close to her family." Wang Maifeng's eyes instantly became moist. Her brother had obviously noticed her loneliness and was trying to say good things for her. In fact, she had indeed changed in the past few months. To outsiders, she is still so competitive and unyielding, but to her family members, she has learned to be tolerant. She does this because she understands that in this world, if you don't even dare to trust your relatives, if you trust, who else can you trust? Therefore, she wanted to try to get closer to her family and relatives. Originally, her confidence had been somewhat shaken, but her brother's words gave her confidence again. Of course, her trust in relatives also differs, such as grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, etc. She will never believe it. "Sister, what are you thinking about?" Wang Maifeng raised her head suddenly and saw Chu Xia looking at her with concern, and quickly smiled. "It's nothing, I just suddenly have confidence in my decision. Originally, you didn't believe me, so I was a little discouraged, but when Jin Song said this just now, I suddenly became confident. I believe that as time goes by, you will also see my change. We have already seen it, but there is a saying that it takes a day to freeze 3 feet. Your previous extreme personality left a deep impression on us. It is indeed difficult for us to completely believe you all at once. But if you have really changed, we will see it. Second sister, let me tell you the truth. Your previous personality was actually harmful to yourself and others. You and the eldest sister are both my relatives. Of course I hope to see it. Until you all live happily." Yes, Wang Maifeng nodded, then shook her head. "It may be difficult for me to change my character to be as generous as my elder brother, but I will try my best to change myself." After hesitating, Chu Xia said, "Second sister, to be honest, have you been stimulated by anything during this time?" Everyone also looked at Wang Maifeng. "Hey," Wang Maifeng sighed and smiled bitterly, "if you hit the wall many times, of course you will understand some truth. If you always suffer losses and make no progress at all, how can you do it?" "Is it because of the Jiang family?" Zhao Kiwi asked. "Yes, a big part of the reason." After a pause, Wang Maifeng said, "Sister, you should know that ever since my second aunt introduced me to Jiang Junjia, I have been focusing on managing this relationship well. In fact, I care more about the Jiang family than our own family. As long as he asks for it, I will force myself to do it no matter whether I can do it or not. But even so, when there was a better exchange of interests, he quickly cooled down. I know that the rumors outside must be very unpleasant now. If I were in the past, I would have gone to Chiang Junja to make trouble, but now, I didn't even get angry with him. It's not that I want to endure it, or that I'm not angry, but I understand that it's useless to be angry or angry with someone who doesn't care about you. During the saddest days, I locked myself in the dormitory and couldn't sleep all night long. When Chiang Junja saw me like that, he didn't ask a word. But when I got home, my father, mother, and brother were all the same. Suddenly he asked me what was wrong and said I had lost weight. Later, when I went to my grandma's house, none of my grandparents, uncles, and aunts asked me. This made me understand completely. People who care about you can see if you get hurt a little bit. People who don't care about you, you will die, and he probably wouldn't be sad in front of him. Carefully thinking back on every detail of getting along with my family over the years, I naturally know who I should be close to and who I should not be close to. I just said that it is impossible for me to become so generous as my eldest sister because my living environment is different from my eldest sister's. I can't trust anyone like my eldest sister. You all know how my grandparents treat me, but my eldest sister's grandparents treat her like a treasure. Although my eldest sister is a girl and has a younger brother, no one in the family treats her seriously. This decision, she is also very mentally healthy. Therefore, when I look for a man to get married in the future, I must find out whether his family favors sons over daughters, and whether he himself favors sons over daughters. Otherwise, it will definitely not be good for our future children. It is my own regret. I can never let my child endure it again. My Feng, let's work together and get into college this year. Zhao Kiwi didn't know what to say to comfort her, so she said. Well, eldest sister, I promise you once again that even if I use people in the future, I will only use outsiders, and I will never use my own family. Don't worry. Zhao Kiwi nodded repeatedly. Of course, I'm relieved. Didn't we all agree at that time? Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian looked at each other with happy faces. They had doubts before, but now they basically have no doubts. They can actually tell what is pretending and what is real. To be continued. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 668. The third update is here. Mr. Zhao and Ms. Zhao have always been thinking about their daughter and son-in-law who have been living in Sidia for so long, and they also know that their daughter and son-in-law cannot stay at home for too long when they come back this time, so they decided to stay with their daughter and son-in-law for a few days. When the daughter and son-in-law leave, send them back. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the group returned to Dalian village in a grand manner. On the way, Chu Xia told Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe about Wang Meifeng's huge transformation. The couple were very happy about the news. The good days of eldest sister Zhao Yuiying were finally coming. Lin Baojuan's home in Poer village. Old Mrs. Luan was lying on the Kong in the east room, howling loudly and softly. During the winter solstice month 2 years ago, when she went to the toilet, she accidentally fell and broke her leg. She has been like this since she came back from the hospital. State. I don't know if it really hurts or not, but it hurts a lot anyway. Luan Qingshu and Lin Baojuan and Xiao Xiang were sitting on the Kong in the west room, both with sad faces. With such an uneasy patient at home, even good-tempered people would become irritable, shouting, "Shan Xiang, you really got over it?" When I asked her what was wrong, she grumbled and said she wanted to eat this and that. To put it bluntly, she was not in pain, but greedy, and she was just using the pain as an inducement. The food stamps that Luan Dejiang saved every month and sent back all went into the old lady's stomach. She also spent all the food stamps that Luan Qingshu and Lin Baojuan Xiao Xiang received from earning work points. But just like that, others came to visit. When she was there, she didn't say a word about her son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter. She even told others that it was her daughter-in-law's fault that she fell. He said that his daughter-in-law was dissatisfied that she only ate and did not work, so she deliberately placed a stone at the door of the toilet to kill her, but she did not expect to die. I just broke a leg. Of course, most people don't believe it, but there are those who are not afraid of too much trouble and just go out and spread it randomly. If outsiders say something, more people will naturally believe it. Luan Xiaoxiang had already made an appointment with her husband's family. I called off the marriage a few years ago. Although they said that they felt that their family's conditions were not good and they did not want to drag down Xiaoxiang, in fact everyone knew that they were worried that Luan Xiaoxiang would be unfilial. Originally, Luan Qingshu wanted to explain, but Luan Xiaoxiang stopped her. She said that since people didn't believe her, there was no need to rush forward. She didn't believe it, he really couldn't tell the difference between right and wrong. Yes. One can imagine how the Luan family spent this New Year. During the New Year's Eve dinner, Ms. Luan deliberately pooped in her pants, causing everyone to fail to eat. Don't think that the boss is out of control. She simply kept the delicious food for her to make everyone unable to eat that night. In later generations, this statement will make people laugh, but in this era of extreme poverty in food and clothing, this is not funny and is very necessary. From the first to the third day of the new year, every time it was time to eat, the old lady would either have a bowel movement or pee. When guests started arriving on the fourth day of the Lunar New Year, the old lady immediately became incontinent. This further verified that everyone had not wronged her and that she was dirty in her heart. Therefore, these days, only the guests are gone. Luan Qingshu, Baojuan, and Xiaoxiang began to worry. It is estimated that when they can't finish the New Year's goods, the old lady will not be able to change this problem. Mom, why do I seem to hear the sound of a car? Luan Xiaoxiang said suddenly. How is it possible? Lin Baojuan touched her daughter's head distressedly. Does it make your ears buzz with milk? Hey, I'm used to it. Luan Xiaoxiang sighed. Mom, Dad, why don't we put all the delicious food in my milk house to let her know that we don't have any delicious food, and she will save it? Luan Qingshu looked helpless. If you get it into her hands, don't try to get it out again. What if another guest comes? You can't let people eat pancakes during the Chinese New Year, right? Lin Baojuan echoed, yes, there are still 2 children from my cousin's family who are not here, and your uncle Baohe's family is probably coming back soon. They belong to other people, so we must do something decent. Luan Qingshu nodded heavily, that's right, the second brother and the second sister-in-law must take care of them. If it weren't for them, how could Daejiang have such a future? Hey, Luan Xiaoxiang sighed again and stared out the window in a daze. Suddenly, she rubbed her eyes, then rubbed her eyes again, and then patted Lin Baojuan's leg. Mom, it seems that summer is coming. As he spoke, he jumped off the Kong with bare feet and put on his shoes. At this moment, Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang had pushed the door open and came in. Luan Xiaoxiang quickly stood up straight with one foot still bare on the ground. Chu Xia quickly pushed her onto the Kong and greeted Luan Qingshu. Baojuan, sister-in-law, Happy New Year, little uncle. Zhou Mikang followed closely and greeted Luan Qingxuelin and Baojuan. Both of them looked excited, and their lips trembled for a long time before saying Happy New Year to them. Ouchioyo. The sudden shouting from the east room made Chu Xia tremble. I'll go over and take a look. Luan Qingshu quickly got off the Kong and went to the east room. Lin Baojuan quickly explained, I broke my leg years ago and I keep yelling like this all day long. Luan Xiaoxiang curled her lips, she did it on purpose. In fact, she was almost healed. When she was discharged from the hospital, the doctor said that as long as she stopped walking, the pain would be gone. But she kept yelling all day long, saying that she would be taken to the hospital for a checkup. She pretended to be deaf and dumb, but in fact, she just wanted to keep all the New Year's things in her belly. Anyway, I should go over and take a look if I broke my leg. Chu Xia winked at Zhou Mikang and walked towards the east room. Zhou Mikang quickly followed. Lin Baojuan wanted to hold Chu Xia back, but Zhou Mixang was in the way, so she felt embarrassed and had to sigh and follow her. It didn't matter if she got a little angry herself, but why would she let Chu Xia get angry too? Luan Qingshu was persuading Mrs. Luan angrily, "Mom, tell me where it hurts. If it doesn't work, let's go to the hospital for another checkup, okay?" Grandma Luan, Happy New Year, Chu Xia greeted him with a smile and climbed up the Kong. Grandma Luan, I studied medicine in the army. I have seen many injuries like yours, and I have done a lot of things with my teacher. Each operation was very successful. Let me show you. If it's crooked, we'll go to the hospital to cut it open again and do the surgery again. However, we have to break it off and reconnect it before the surgery. It will be much more painful than when you fell. Grandma, you have to be mentally prepared to avoid fainting from the pain. I have personally seen an elderly patient have it done again. The big axe. Gestured with the big and small, Chu Xia continued, one axe after another. Cut off at a crooked place. The old man rolled his eyes at that time. It was me who gave him oxygen. At this time, old Mrs. Luan had long forgotten to complain about the pain. Seeing that Chu Xia had climbed onto the Kong and stretched out her hand towards her calf, she was so frightened that she quickly shrank back and waved her hands repeatedly. It's not crooked, it's definitely not crooked, not crooked. Grandma, why are you in pain? Chu Xia looked at her seriously. You can't hide it just because you're afraid of pain. The later this matter is delayed, the greater the suffering will be. Come, let me try it for you. My skills in this area are quite good. However, Grandma, you have to be mentally prepared. It will hurt a little when you try it. Also, you can get into the Kong in 100 days. If you try again, you will have to wait about 30 days before you can get into the Kong. Because when you try, you have to use some force, which will cause secondary damage. The secondary damage will hurt you. Got it? Just to injure you again. Zhou Mikang stood under the Kong, with no expression on his face, but his eyes were full of smiles. He knew that it would not be that simple for his wife to come over and say hello. No, this scared the old lady to the point where she almost rolled her eyes. Old Mrs. Luan waved to her son anxiously, no need to try, no need to try, stop her quickly, don't try, don't try. Uncle, if it weren't for the sake of you and my sister-in-law, I wouldn't be willing to take action. If this is delayed for a long time, the risk will more than double when cutting off, and the cost will be too much. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt. I don't feel any pain at all. I'm all pretending. If you don't believe it, I'll show you if you don't believe me. As she said this, old Mrs. Luan wanted to open the door. Chu Xia quickly grabbed her and said, Grandma, you can't lie just to avoid the pain. The longer you delay this, the more trouble you will suffer, and my sister-in-law and uncle can also bring you down. I'm not lying to you, it really doesn't hurt. Look, how straight my legs are. The old lady said as she pulled up her trouser legs, revealing her almost recovered calves. Now I'm leaning on a stick. It doesn't hurt at all to walk. I tried it secretly when they were away. Really, I kid you not. Chu Xia nodded seriously. Then you go down and show me. Anyway, if it doesn't grow well, you have to interrupt and try again. It doesn't matter if you can't walk well. After several people returned to the west room again, the east room became completely quiet. Xia, do you think the old lady has grown up? Do you really have to stop and start again? After all, she is his own mother, so Luan Qingshu asked her worries. She can walk so neatly with a stick. Of course she has grown well. It's easy to tell whether it hurts or not. When you see her walking, there is no expression of pain on her face, which means she didn't lie to us. As for saying that the growth is not good and needs to be interrupted and reconnected, I am not trying to scare her. If the growth is really crooked, it cannot continue to grow crookedly. However, it is not interrupting, but a gentler operation. But this situation is impossible, and it's not like you don't have the conditions to go to the hospital on the battlefield, so how could it be possible that you didn't grow well? That's good, Luen Qingsha nodded repeatedly and lowered his voice. Xia, thank you, otherwise, we don't know when we will be tortured by the old lady. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 669. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend promotional introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. One update arrived. Luen Qingsha thanked her seriously, which made Chu Xia feel embarrassed. As long as I don't mind my nosy, that's fine. How can that be possible? I'm not confused. How can I not be able to tell the difference between good and bad? Luen Qingsha blushed and looked at his wife. Baojuan, please say a few words quickly. I believe what you say. Chu Xia hurriedly said, little uncle, I believe what you said. I have known you for so many years. It's not that I don't know your character. What I said just now is because I am not suitable for you to thank me as an elder. It's not that I don't believe you. Xia, I'm telling the truth, you don't know. With a heavy sigh, Luen Qingsha recounted Mrs. Luen's performance these days. When Luen Qingsha finished speaking, Luen Xiaoxiang echoed, Sister, what my father said is true. When you came, our family was in trouble. We couldn't finish the New Year's goods, and my milk couldn't stop, but she ate them all. What to do if guests come again? We all know that she must be pretending to have leg pain, but as long as she doesn't admit it, there's nothing we can do about it. Now that you've exposed it to her, she will definitely be embarrassed to pee in her pants while eating again. When Luen Xiaoxiang said this, Chu Xia felt her stomach churn and felt like she couldn't hold it anymore. She covered her mouth and ran to the corner of the yard to vomit violently. Zhou Mikang followed her out and quickly went back to fill a jar. Warm water came out and after she finished vomiting, it was quickly handed to her to rinse her mouth. Lin Baojuan, Luen Qingshu and Luen Daijiang also followed. Lin Baojuan kept complaining about her daughter, Xiaoxiang, your father has made it clear. Why do you insist on being so clear? Luen Xiaoxiang looked at Chu Xia pitifully, Sister, are you okay? I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Chu Xia had already calmed down and quickly waved her hand, I don't blame you. It's just me who thinks too much. Zhou Mikang patted her back with his big hand, is everything okay now? It's okay, let's go in. Chu Xia said she was very embarrassed about her performance, but this matter was really beyond her control. When Luen Xiaoxiang said it, she unconsciously made up her mind. Then, I couldn't control it anymore. Back inside the house again. Lin Baojuan quickly opened the box at the end of the kong, found a small bag of candy and handed it to Chu Xia, eat this sweet mouth quickly. This candy was her wedding candy. Sister-in-law, you really can keep things. She said this, but Chu Xia felt sour in her heart. My sister-in-law really didn't say anything to their family, but now she really doesn't have the ability to take good care of everyone who is kind to her. Although this is the case, she still feels a little guilty in her heart. Although she felt a little guilty, she knew it very well. It is better to teach people to fish than to teach them to fish. In 2 or 3 years, the market will not be as strictly regulated as it is now. At that time, she can lend them capital and let them turn around. Luen Xiaoxiang took the bag of candy and looked at it, looking at Lin Baojuan in surprise. Mom, you still have so much left? I thought I had finished it long ago. Lin Baojuan smiled sheepishly, I brought this out just in case someone gets sick. She talks sweetly when taking medicine. Come here. Let's have a piece each. everyone will be sweet. Chu Xia took out the candies from the bag and gave them to everyone one by one. After eating the old one, I'll get the new one. Luan Qingsha shrank his hands and refused to take it. You guys eat, I don't care about this. You have to eat it even if you don't have a wife. Chu Xia forced it into his hand. Little uncle, do you think I will believe what you say? When I got married, you ate sweets quite happily. Luan Qingshu immediately blushed and didn't know what to say. Eat it quickly, Lin Baojuan pushed him. Funny, the child is not laughing at you. She knows that you want to save hunting for our mother. Look at what your face has become. Little uncle, you are actually completing your mission by eating these, Chu Xia said and pushed Zhou Mikang. Hurry up, my little uncle wants to eat something new, go and get it for him. No, no, I eat, Luan Qingsha said as he quickly peeled off the candy and put it in his mouth to prove that he didn't mean what Chu Xia said. Uncle, don't listen to her, she is just teasing you on purpose, Zhou Mikang said, patting Chu Xia's head lovingly, turned around and walked out. Luan Qingsha took a quick step and grabbed him. Xiaozhou, hurry up, sit down, we have everything at home and we don't lack anything. Zhou Mikang took advantage of the situation and pulled him out. Little uncle, the things in the car were brought here for you. It just so happens that there are a lot of things. Please help me. Luan Qingsha still wanted to give in, so Chu Xia looked at Lin Baojuan. Sister-in-law, if you treat us as outsiders, just let my uncle-in-law be so polite. The child's wishes, you and Xiaozhou should go there. After his wife had spoken, Luan Qingsha stopped worrying and followed Zhou Mikang out obediently. Sister. After hesitation, Luan Xiaoxiang looked at Chu Xia. If you bring us food, my mother will think of ways to make trouble again. Next time you come to my house, you don't have to bring anything, okay? Chu Xia happily agreed. Okay, I won't bring anything next time. Isn't this the Chinese New Year? Sister, Zhang Dongzi wrote a letter to his family, saying that his relationship with Dajiang is very good, and he also asked his family to move more with our family. Thank you for Dajiang's help. Sister, did you really help them? Luan Xiaoxiang asked. No, Chu Xia shook his head helplessly. After Dajiang went to serve as a soldier, Zhang Dongzi first spoke ill of Dajiang, and then he started to please Dajiang. Luan Xiaoxiang interrupted her anxiously. Dajiang asked him to coax him over with just a few nice words. No, Chu Xia told Zhang Dongzi about following him around, and finally said, Dajiang has always been quite cold to him. He probably wanted to use his family's connections to bring him closer to Dajiang. Let me tell you, this man is so shameless. Luan Xiaoxiang couldn't help but roll her eyes. I couldn't stand him since I was a child, so I asked Mr. Dajiang to play with him. Dajiang just didn't listen to me. I won't be able to bear it in the end. Is it his fault? Sister, if Dajiang doesn't have a long memory, just ignore him. Chu Xia smiled at her. You and Dajiang are twins, so you should know him very well. Do you think he will still be fooled by Zhang Dongzi? After thinking for a while, Luan Xiaoxiang shook her head. It shouldn't be the case. Dajiang is actually quite principled. Zhang Dongzi's behavior really hurt him last time. He should have a better memory. Isn't this the end? Chu Xia smiled and patted her shoulder. You have to believe in your own brother. Luan Xiaoxiang smiled sheepishly. In the past, I tried to persuade Dajiang, but he always refused to listen. Now that I am anxious, I am afraid that he will be fooled by Zhang Dongzi again. In fact, if I think about it carefully, he is not that stupid. Dajiang Shishan is not stupid. Lin Baojuan spoke for her son. You see that he doesn't talk much. You know who is good to him and who is not good to him. Mom, you just think that Dajiang is more pleasing to your eye than me, so you have to do it since you were a child. Luan Xiaoxiang pouted dissatisfiedly. Mom, you are so narrow-minded. Lin Baojuan looked at her daughter helplessly. You child, how can my mother be partial? You and Daejeong are both the flesh that fell from my mother's body, and they are both the same in my mother's heart. You talk a lot, and Daejeong talks a little. Mom is not the same. Would you like to say a few more words for Daejeong? This is too much, too much. Luan Qingsha followed Jo Mikang carrying 2 large snakeskin bags, and kept mumbling, "We have everything at home, how can we let you waste it?" "Dad, it's a waste, not a waste," Luan Xiaoxiang said as she reached out to take a bag from Jo Mixang's hand. Her body sank as she fell, and she stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. "Brother-in-law is carrying it so briskly, I thought it wasn't heavy." "Are you competing with him?" Chu Xia shook her head amusedly. "He seems to be very light when he lifts 200 kilograms of things." "Can you lift 200 kilograms of things?" "Ah," Luan Xiaoxiang looked at Jo Mixang with wide eyes, admiration on her face. "Brother-in-law, you are stronger than my father." "Nonsense, can your father's strength be compared to your brother-in-law?" Lin Baojuan looked at the 4 big bags placed under the Kong and became at a loss. "Xiaozhou, Xia, how can you carry these things? We can't collect them." "You can take it back later, if your parents still have to go back, just send it to your grandma." "We have already sent it to my grandma." Chu Xia smiled and hugged her shoulders. "Sister-in-law, I have sent it to you, so you can accept it with peace of mind. We met Daejeong before we came back. He is thinking about you. I personally promised him that I would make up for his undying filial piety. If you don't accept it, how will I explain it to him when I go back?" "But this is too much," Lin Baojuan said with a troubled face. "I said don't take so much." Xiaozhou had to take it all down and put it outside. "I was afraid that someone would take it out, so I brought it all in." Luan Qingsha rubbed his hands and said with an uncomfortable look on his face. "Sister-in-law, uncle, we only come back a few times a year. We usually can't bring so many things back. It happened to be the Chinese New Year and there were a lot of cars coming back, so we brought them back along the way. If you don't accept it, you are alienating me. Although my father is no longer my sister-in-law's biological brother, in our hearts, my sister-in-law is my biological sister-in-law. This child." Lin Baojuan hugged Chu Xia excitedly, not knowing what to say. After a moment, she waved her hand and said, "Okay, I will accept it. My niece and niece-in-law gave it to me, so I will accept it. My sister-in-law didn't love me in vain, did she?" "That's right, the pain is not in vain at all," Lin Baojuan said with tears in her eyes. "My sister-in-law was originally good to you, but either she had this intention, or she was really close to your father, even though she knew she was not with your father. As brothers and sisters, I still feel close to him. I know, of course I know. At that time, my sister-in-law didn't know my father's life experience and she could still be so kind to my father. That definitely shows that the relationship between my sister-in-law and my father is true. If you think the website is good, share it more. Thank you readers for your support. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 670. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend promotional introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. Second update. Remember WW in 1 second, OM. Chu Xia and Jo Mikang brought rice, noodles, snacks, white sugar, brown sugar, fruit candy, milk candy, peanut candy, canned food, melon seeds, and various other products of this era to Lin Baojuan's family. Although she agreed to accept them, when she really saw these things, Lin Baojuan felt uneasy again. She did not refuse in person, but pulled Chu Xia outside and asked in a low voice, "Xia, are these things? You made the decision to buy it, right? How could Chu Xia not understand Lin Beiruo's worries, and quickly said, no, it was Zhou Mikang who bought it. He bought the gifts for each family, so don't worry, sister-in-law. Xia, although my sister-in-law's family is not rich, it is no problem to have enough food and clothing. Moreover, now that Dejiang's monthly allowance is supplemented, the family's life is much better than before. Even though your father's identity is different now, you are married into the Zhou family's daughter-in-law. Taking too many things from your parents' family is really bad for you. My sister-in-law wants to see you live a harmonious and beautiful life, but you can't do it because of these things make you feel wronged. Sister-in-law, you are overthinking this. You see a lot of these things, but in the eyes of the Zhou family, they are really not much. If I don't bring anything with me when I go back to my parents' home, do you think people will look down on me? My grandparents are having a falling out, but my mother-in-law knows whether our relationship with my sister-in-law is good or not. If I really don't want to give anything to my sister-in-law, then my mother-in-law's side is don't you have to think about whether there is something wrong with my character? If you do this to the relatives who have helped you the most, then you have to think about what happens to your family in the future. Do I have to run faster than a rabbit? Since Lin Baojuan's focus is on her position in her husband's family, she can only use this method to persuade the other party, which can be regarded as prescribing the right medicine. Sure enough, listen to what she said. Lin Baojuan began to hesitate. Xia, you really didn't lie to my sister-in-law, right? I'm really not lying. Chu Xia raised her hand to make an oath. How about I swear to my sister-in-law? Lin Baojuan quickly stopped her. No, 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 you're celebrating the new year. Whatever you swear, I just believe you. When the couple returned to the house, Lin Baojuan smiled at Zhou Mixang. Xiaozhou, I grew up watching Chu Xia. I have always treated her like my biological daughter. Regardless of whether her father is my biological brother or not, her position in my heart is still the same as before. She is nostalgic and feels sorry for me. I know that she said you bought these things and I believed her. But I still have to add that my sister-in-law believes you and you can't lie to your sister-in-law. If these things will cause the elders of the Zhou family to have objections to Xia, I will definitely not accept them. Of course, I also know that no matter whether the elders of the Zhou family really have opinions or not, you will not admit it at this moment. However, even though I am far away, I am still an ordinary person, so I always have a way to know whether what you say is true or false. If you let me know that you are lying to me now, then I will keep my words here. I will bring Dejiang back as soon as possible. Don't let him serve as a soldier. I would rather let the children at home have no future and stay at home. Don't let Xia live a miserable life in the future. You two should think about it carefully. I mean what I say. Obviously. My sister-in-law still had doubts about her words, so she used this method to exchange Dejiang's future for them to tell the truth. Chu Xia laughed. Sister-in-law, you swear I don't have any objections. This was equivalent to telling Lin Baojuan that what she said was absolutely 100% true. Zhou Mikang also nodded. Sister-in-law, if Chu Xia is wronged at home because of these things, then I might as well stop being a soldier. When the conversation came to this point, Lin Baojuan stopped being pretentious. Then I'll accept it. She looked at her daughter and said, the Wang family is not lucky. If they had not broken off the engagement, they would not have had a share of this delicious food. Mom, why did you mention what they did? Luan Xiaoxiang curled her lips. I was really annoyed by their family always urging me to get married. I told her many times that I wanted to wait until Dejiang retired from the army or became a volunteer before getting married, but they just couldn't listen. Go in, it's a good time now, everyone will be relieved. That kind of family is not worthy of Xiaoxiang. Our Xiaoxiang is so kind and capable, so of course we need to find a husband who treats our Xiaoxiang like a baby. Chu Xia said, poking at Zhou Mikang. please help me pay attention. If you have a good temper, a good personality, and like Xiaoxiang, then help Xiaoxiang get it. Zhou Mikang nodded, okay, Zhou Hanliang will definitely be able to handle this. My sister-in-law, my uncle, my grandma and my grandfather all followed me to my house, so we took the lead and came over to see my sister-in-law and uncle. My father and my mother wanted to let my sister-in-law and uncle's family stay at my house for a few days. But look at what Grandma Luan looks like now. Luan Qingshu said quickly, let your sister-in-law and Xiaoxiang go. I think things will be fine at home, and my mother's legs are almost healed. Even cooking a meal, I can do all the work. Of course Lin Baojuan wanted to go, but she was worried about leaving her husband alone at home. Who knew whether the old lady would do something stupid again after they left? This man is old and acting stupid. What else can a younger generation, especially a son, do except endure it? Besides, the old lady can't just let the old lady take all the things brought by nieces, nephews, and sons-in-law. What will it make your niece, nephew, and son-in-law think? Seeing Lin Baojuan's worry, Chu Xia looked at Luan Qingshu, little uncle, my father and my mother miss you. It's just a matter of a day or two. Can you let Grandma Luan stay at my uncle's house for 2 days? After hesitating for a moment, Luan Qingshu nodded, I'll discuss it with my eldest brother. Don't discuss it empty-handed. Chu Xia took out 2 packs of snacks, a pack of sugar and 2 bottles of cans from the gift pile. Little uncle, take these, there will be no problem. In this day and age, this orangutan is a daughter-in-law. I believe Uncle Luan will not have any objection if he stays there for only 3 to 5 days, let alone 1 or 2 days. Just as Luan Qingshu went to Uncle Luan's house to discuss the matter, Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang helped Lin Baojuan put the remaining food in the cellar under the Kong. When Luan Qingshu came back, Uncle Luan also came with him, and his son Luan Dehai came with him. The 2 men went into the house to say hello to Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang, chatted for a few more words, and then went to the east room to pick up Mrs. Luan. Picked up. Old Mrs. Luan hadn't fully woken up from the panic of having her leg broken again, so when her eldest son came to pick her up to stay for a few days, she didn't even hesitate and went with him. In the evening, Lin Baojuan and her family went to Dalian village with Zhou Mikang in early summer. If you think the website is good, share it more. Thank you readers for your support. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 671. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend promotional introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. 1 update. Lin Bao he is the happiest when Lin Baojuan and his family can come. For him, although he has found his roots, if you ask him who is the closest relative in his heart besides his wife and daughter, it is definitely Lin Baojuan. Therefore, not long after Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang left in the afternoon, he ran to the door from time to look around. At this moment, he finally welcomed his sister's family and stepped forward to hold his sister and brother-in-law's hands. He couldn't close his mouth. She could clearly feel the second brother's closeness to her. Lin Baojuan called out softly, and her eyes immediately became wet. Chu Xia reminded, Dad, you and your uncle should go into the house, otherwise everyone will come out to greet you. Lin Bao he nodded quickly, yes, all the family members are here, and the house is very lively. A few people walked into the middle of the yard, and Zhao Yulan hurriedly greeted them, Baojuan, you and your family are here. Your brother has been restless this afternoon. If you don't come over, he won't sleep tonight. I can't sleep anymore. A group of people entered the room, greeted each other, and took their seats. Looking at the spacious house, Lin Baojuan said, Second brother, our house is really spacious. If this were someone else's house, these people would be packed in. She was telling the truth. They were a family of 3, Luo Gangshun's family of 3, Lin Baohe's family of 4, plus Mr. Zhao, MRS Zhao and Lin Wenbin, a total of 13 people. Sitting in the room, they didn't feel crowded, which was the case in other homes. It's simply impossible. Zhao Yulan said with a smile, "This is something me has thought carefully about. We are all used to receiving guests in the East Room, so he used more than 1.5 rooms in this room. Xia is so lucky to marry such a good son-in-law here." Probably because her daughter's marriage was not going well, Lin Baojuan couldn't help but sigh secretly. Zhao Yulan had known her for so many years, and the change in her expression knew what she was thinking, and she immediately said, "Baojuan, I don't think it's a bad thing about the fragrance. That kind of family is not worthy of our fragrance. Let's leave early. Good morning. With our family's character, we should find a better one. It's not like I can't stand and talk without backache. There are so many children in our family in the army. I don't believe that we all can't find a suitable one for Xiang. Mom, Zhou Mikang has promised to take care of Xiang's marriage." Chu Xia stabbed Zhou Mikang. The other party quickly said, "Mom, I agreed. I will let Zhou Hanliang handle it. He is better at this kind of thing. Anyway, he has seen Xiang." "Okay, okay. I can rest assured that you can handle this matter." Zhao Yulan smiled and said to Lin Baojuan, "Me, this kid, never makes random promises." He agreed. "Don't worry anymore, and don't think about the Wang family anymore." Lin Baojuan couldn't help but sigh again. "Second sister-in-law, I know, it's not that I still miss the Wang family, but that it was their family who took the initiative to beg. But suddenly they turned against each other, and you didn't think it was sweet for those who didn't know it? Is it not good? No, you are thinking too much. We are not blind. How can we not see that Xiang is capable and obedient? Besides, even if there is some, don't take it to heart. When Xiang finds a good in-law, those people's mouths will naturally." It was blocked. The fat ant continued what Zhao Yulan said, "Baojuan, if you really take it to your heart, you are going too far. If you get angry with such a family, aren't you doing yourself a disservice?" I know," Lin Baojuan said hurriedly, "I also know that people like that have dispersed long ago, but I can't help but get angry when I think of the way they came to the door. In fact, when I think about it, I am really stupid. I am angry here, but others don't take it seriously, and they are happily dating each other. If I continue to be angry, it will really look like we like his family. Sister-in-law, don't worry, I don't regret breaking up with them now." After a slight hesitation, she said to Zhou Mikang, "Zhou, I'm very grateful that you worry about Xiang, but you also know Xiang's conditions. Apart from being able to work and having a good temper, he is not a top talent. Then, when you are looking for a suitable candidate for her, you must weigh the conditions. Don't make things difficult for others, and don't make yourself feel guilty." Zhou Mikang smiled and said, "Gu, don't worry, I won't make things difficult for you. Dajiang is doing very well there, so don't worry, Gu, his future will be good." With Zhou Mikang's words, Luan Dajiang would no longer be a demobilized soldier for 2 years. Luan Qingshu and Lin Baojuan rubbed their hands in excitement for a moment, not knowing what to do. Zhao Yulan stood up and said, "That's right, let's have dinner and you guys all have some wine to celebrate that our family is getting better and better." During the meal, Luo Xiaoxian was of course right next to Chu Xia. While everyone was chatting lively, she rubbed her head towards Chu Xia and lowered her voice, "After you guys left, I went out for a walk and met Lin Chuchun. He asked, let me tell you, no matter how pitiful your grandparents and Chuchu are, don't pay attention to them, they want to take advantage of you." Chu Xia nodded, "I will do this without being told. I have always been like this. If you treat me well, I will naturally repay you. If you treat me badly, I will definitely hold grudges. I guess they will be able to go up tonight and stretch their muscles now. I think they are angry enough. In the afternoon, my mother also went out to visit. I heard from the villagers that your grandparents no longer speak ill of you, and everyone praises them when they meet. Hello. Hey, have they changed their strategy? Chusia shook her head amusedly. They have become smarter. They praise us to the sky, and then we don't help them when they come to us, so they can pretend to be pitiful to gain sympathy. If my guess is correct, they must be thinking of forcing my parents to lose their foothold in the village, and then they will try their best to occupy our house. If they still think like that now, they've really been kicked in the head. It's not like they don't know who you married. Do they really think you are still as easy to bully as before? How can they understand this? They think that if my parents don't come back and this house is empty, they can live in it openly. Even if someone kicks them out, they can pretend that it is their second son's house. Xiaoxian, the character of these people is like this. It's not that I deliberately think bad of them, but this is their code of conduct. They have never left Dalan village in their lives. In their eyes, my father is synonymous with incompetence. No matter who my father met or what he became, in their eyes, my father was still the same father they could control. Hey Luo Xiaoxian sighed, Uncle Baohe's life was really not easy in the past. In fact, they really don't understand Uncle Baohe. If they are willing to treat him well, how can they really be separated from Uncle Baohe's character, already? People's hearts are different. They have been strong in front of my father all their lives. Of course they won't be happy if you ask them to soften. Of course, it's not that they can't be soft, but what they want is that as long as they soften, my father will listen to them immediately. If you don't listen, it's my father's fault. They will make him cry, make trouble, and hang himself. Thinking of what happened last time, Luo Xiaoxian nodded, that's true. They softened for a while but it had no effect, and they immediately got hard again. However, I think they should persist longer this time. I believe that because we have encountered difficulties before, we should hold on longer this time, but don't worry, if my father doesn't agree to their conditions before he leaves, they will make trouble again. This is good, it will make my father completely give up on them, and I won't have to worry about my father being fooled by them in the future. People tend to forget the good and the bad. After a long time, the feeling fades away. My father treated them the same way. He was once chilled to the core, but after such a long time, the chill gradually faded away and was replaced by nostalgia for the warmth he once had. Although he is never in front of me, I can still hear it from his occasional words, so I have always been worried that he will get closer to them again. In fact, if they really get better, I don't have any problem with my father getting closer to them. After all, the grudges of the previous generation and seniors should not be mixed up too much, as long as my father is happy. But the problem is, they always approach my dad with purpose and scheming. Of course I don't like it. Now that I think about it, I am quite stupid, and my dad is not confused. If they really have purpose and scheming, how can he? Do you know? Luo Xiaoxian nodded in agreement, your Uncle Baohe is not confused. He just doesn't want to argue with others. However, what I like most about Uncle Baohe is that as soon as it concerns you, he immediately changes into a different person. Captain Joe is quite capable. Chusia also laughed happily. Indeed, her father was really cool sometimes. The two of them chatted while eating, exchanging words with others from time to time. The meal ended at 9 o'clock without realizing it. This was really dinner in the countryside. After collecting the food, Zhao Yulan hurriedly served hawthorn tea for everyone to eat, especially Mr. Zhao and Ms. Zhao. She is old and will be particularly uncomfortable in the morning if she eats too much. It wasn't until 10 o'clock that the party ended, and Luo Gangshan and his family went back to sleep. In Chuxia, the whole family slept on a big bed with a kong for men and a kong for women. This was the most lively night of sleep since I came to this era in early summer. 5 women shared a bed and chatted until after 1 o'clock in the morning before calling out one by one. If you think the website is good, please share this website. Thank you readers for your support. Fast updates, no pop UPS, plain text. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 672. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend promotional introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. Second update. Remember WW in 1 second, OM. It's on fire. It's on fire. The fire is put out. The fire is put out. There were bursts of noise, and Chu Xia sat up in shock. What's going on? Zhao Yulan also muttered and quickly got up and looked outside. Then Lin Baojuan and Mrs. Zhao also got up. Only Luan Xiang was sleeping. That's called solidity. When Xiang was asleep, you dragged her to the street and sold her, and she didn't even know it. Lin Baojuan slapped her daughter on the butt, but she still didn't move. Let her sleep. Mrs. Zhao quickly stopped her. I don't know what happened yet, why did you wake her up? At this time, the men in the west room were all dressed. Don't get up, I'll go out with King Shumai Wenbin. Lin Baohe's voice came in. Zhao Yulan had already put on her clothes. She quickly got off the kong and pushed the door out. She looked at the men in the living room and warned, it must be someone's haystack that caught fire. Please be careful and don't hurt yourselves. Seeing Mr. Zhao coming out, he quickly stopped him. Dad, at your age, don't join in the fun. Mr. Zhao stared at his daughter with an unhappy look on his face. They didn't even wait for me to get dressed and leave, and you dislike me so much. I am no longer useful when I am old. I am disliked for everything. Dad. Zhao Yulan looked dumbfounded. Can you please be reasonable? Yulan, I don't like hearing this anymore. It's not like you don't know what kind of temper your father and I are, so I'm going to follow you. Can you really pounce on me without overestimating your capabilities? Your father is not a cat, he has 9 lives. Seeing the embarrassment on Zhao Yulan's face, Zhou Mixang said, Grandpa, let's go together, I will take care of you. Mother, don't worry. It's still me who loves Grandpa the most. The old man put his hands behind his back, took a long step, and walked out. The others had no choice but to shake their heads and follow him out. It's getting more and more lively outside. The sounds of running, the clinking of buckets, and the noise came together. After a moment of hesitation, Zhao Yulan also walked out, but was pushed back by Lin Baohe. We'll keep them at home. Zhao Yulan nodded. I know where the fire started when I left the door. Lin Baohe no longer stopped her. After walking out of the door, the entire northeast corner of the village was ablaze with red. Baohe's family lives over there. Lin Baohe quickened his pace, and everyone else also started running. Zhao Yulan quickly ran back to the house, where Lin Baojuan was getting off the kong. Second sister-in-law, which way are you? The northeast corner is like Baohe's. Baojuan, let's go to. Zhao Yulan said to Chu Xia. Xia, stay at home with grandma. As for Luan Xiang and Lin Baojuan, she won't be able to wake up unless you keep shaking her with earthquake-like force. Chu Xia nodded. Okay, I'll stay with grandma at home. Mom, Aunt, don't get too close. There are men here. I know. In response, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baojuan ran out. Old Mrs. Zhao patted Chu Xia. Xia, go to sleep. It's far away from us. You have a good rest. Hey, they all ran out, and I can't sleep. If you're not sleepy, let's chat for a while, Chu Xia suggested, knowing that it was impossible for the old lady to sleep. Okay, Grandma and Xiaolao will chat for a while. Chu Xia thought of the previous story about chatting, and couldn't help but smile to herself. Grandma, if we chatted for a minute, they will definitely come back. Mrs. Zhao smiled, what's the point? If your father and I go to work in the fields, he can earn 10 work points a day. His 10 work points will basically have to work for more than 10 hours. That one work point is naturally 1 hour. After thinking about it for a while, Mrs. Zhao smiled, this kid is really good at thinking about it. He can even make you think of it. Chu Xia smiled, Grandma is not so nervous now, right? You devil, Mrs. Zhao poked her granddaughter on the head and couldn't help but sigh, your grandpa is good at everything, but it's not good to refuse to accept him. It's obvious that many jobs can't be done anymore, but you still don't believe in that evil and like to show off your talents. Your uncle and aunt are worried all day long, fearing that he will flash his waist, throw his legs and hit his arms. Grandma, don't worry. As long as Joe Mikang is here, Grandpa will definitely be fine. Think about it, Joe Mikang was injured before, and he was a master who could survive a hail of bullets. What does this little exaggeration mean? Yes. Grandma. Well, Grandma is just worried. Old Mrs. Zhao doted on her granddaughter's ears and held her hair. Xia, your child is more and more reassuring to Grandma. With you here, Grandma doesn't have to worry about your mother. Grandma, don't worry. I will be filial to my mother, father, grandma, grandpa and uncle and aunt. Thinking about the performance of her second aunt Lin Xiahua, Chu Xia said, Grandma, I didn't hear my second uncle and second aunt mention Qian this time. Do you know what's going on with her? I don't know. The child hasn't come back for several months, and she hasn't replied during the Chinese New Year. She doesn't reply to your second aunt's letters to her. Who knows what's going on? But you don't have to worry about her. That child, she has a temperament that will never suffer a loss. If she is determined not to have contact with the family, let her go. As long as she lives a comfortable life, we have nothing to do with her. Grandma, I haven't met her, but Xiaoxian met her once. She was pregnant and went for a prenatal checkup. Old Mrs. Zhao interrupted Chu Xia happily, really? Why didn't you tell your family? That kid, it's really such a happy event. Why didn't you tell your family? Grandma, this is what I want, Xiaoxian, Qian doesn't seem to be living a particularly good life. I heard that Lu Zhenqiang arranged for her to stay outside and be taken care of by a nanny. The nanny will accompany her in everything. Her mother-in-law hasn't fully recognized her yet. She seems to mean that if she gives birth to a son, she will recognize her as her daughter-in-law. If she gives birth to a daughter, she will probably let Lu Zhenqiang marry another woman. Qian didn't write home, probably because she didn't want anyone to laugh at her before the matter was clear. We all know her character, she thinks that she is better than others in everything. This child has such a bad temper. Let me talk to your second aunt later. If she is willing to go to Qian, she might as well go. After all, she is her own daughter. After sighing, Mrs. Zhao continued, the child is not afraid of having a bad temper. Well, I'm afraid that the character of my parents won't work well, and you and Qi Yan are not the most obvious examples. Chu Xia smiled and didn't answer. She really couldn't answer this matter. About an hour later, Zhao Yulan came back first, her face covered in black ash. Chu Xia quickly twisted a hot towel and handed it to her. Mom, which house is burning? It's almost put out. Hey, Zhao Yulan sighed while wiping her face, your third uncle's house was on fire. Fortunately, the whole family found out early and ran out, and also snatched some valuable things. However, the house is uninhabitable. The roof is completely burned out and the back wall has collapsed. To repair it, it is equivalent to building it all over again. It is almost gone now. I am afraid that you will be worried at home, so please come back in advance. Mom, my dad is very knowledgeable. Even when the fire was so big, he didn't move forward and kept following behind to help everyone pass tools and other things. Mrs. Zhao was visibly relieved. Your father is acting like a jerk. It's hard not to worry about him. What about the whole family? Chu Xia asked. Your grandma was sitting outside howling on the ground, and your grandpa stood outside with a sullen face and said nothing. Of course, your uncle and aunt were busy putting out the fire, and the things they grabbed were all piled outside. Oh, Chu Xia responded and continued to ask with a calm expression, have uncle and his family gone? There are so many people, I really don't understand others. Zhao Yulan suddenly understood the meaning of Chu Xia's question. Xia, you mean, your uncle's family may be hiding now? The eldest brother will not hide, but the uncle and the uncle's wife may not hide. So, where does the third uncle and his grandparents live? Mom, don't blame me for being a human being. Anyway, what I'm thinking about right now is why everything is so abnormal. I thought they came up yesterday, but they didn't come. Then, inexplicably, their house caught fire, and then the valuables were snatched out, while everything else was burned down. Why was it such a coincidence? At this time, if the uncle's family doesn't take care of it, then who will take care of it? Naturally, everyone will think about us, whether it is the housing area or housing conditions. If we don't take care of it, some people will make irresponsible remarks. I originally thought that our grandparents were sorry for us, but now they are too. Why are we worrying about this when we are in trouble? No matter what, we grew up eating their food. Then, if there are too many such discussions, how can dad and mom come back to stay? Then, if dad and mom don't come back and don't give them a house to live in, they will be even more criticized. Furthermore, my grandparents' family will also be implicated by others. As for my aunt, it will be particularly difficult. She wants to be with us, but in this case, what will she do? Anyway, after thinking about it over and over again, I feel that this fire was started at the right time. It was so interesting, and it was so skillful. Zhao Yulan wanted to refute her daughter, but she found reasons not to refute it. Yes, everything her daughter did was reasonable. If Mr. Lin and Ms. Lin had come to see them before, she would not be surprised. Just as her daughter said, why are they so calm? But, this approach is too poisonous and immoral, right? Outside the door, footsteps could be heard. It must be that Lin Baohe and others were back. Zhao Yulan quickly stood up to greet them, and Chu Xia followed her out. If you think the website is good, please share this website. Thank you readers for your support. Fast updates, no pop UPS plain text. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 673. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend promotional introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. One update arrived. Those who came back were Mr. Zhao and Zhou Kang, and Lin Wenbin. All three of them had gray faces. Baohe and Baoju and Kingshu are helping to clean up. We came back first, Mr. Zhao said. Chu Xia and Zhao Yulan quickly brought out the hot water that had been heated before and washed the hair, hands, faces and feet of several people. Ms. Zhao also got off the Kong to help. After all the hard work, it was already done. I think I'll make breakfast first, and then go to bed after everyone is full. Zhao Yulan looked at the clock on the wall and saw that it was nearly 6 o'clock, then she suggested. Okay. Mr. Zhao nodded. I guess Xiaomi and Wenbin have been hungry for a long time, and they can't sleep even if they lie on the Kong right now. Lin Wenbin nodded honestly, I'm a little hungry. Zhou Mikang went to the west room to test the temperature on the Kong, then turned around and came out. In early summer, I will accompany my grandpa, grandma and mother to the Kong to keep warm. My uncle and I will be responsible for breakfast. Zhao Yulan said quickly, I don't need you. I have been busy for a long time. How can I let you cook? I will cook some porridge, heat up the steamed buns, and add some pickles. Soon, you will all go to the Kong to have a rest. Go, hurry up. Zhou Mikang looked at Zhao Yulan with a serious look on his face. Mom, you also went to work for a long time. We are young and can't stand the trouble. If you really treat me as your own son, just listen to me. He was sincere, and it could be seen from his expression that Zhao Yulan felt a sense of warmth in her heart. It's not that she is too easily moved, but that in this era, there are too few men who can do this. Not to mention a man with Zhou Mikang's status and background. Not to mention others, Lin Bao he already loves his wife and children very much among men. However, he rarely cooks. Anyway, Zhou Mikang's move really made Zhao Yulan no longer worried about her daughter's future. She obediently followed her parents to the west room, leaving Zhou Mixang and Lin Wenbin busy below. Do you want my help? Chu Xia looked at the two of them and asked. No need. Zhou Mikang waved his hand at her. You go and talk to the elders for a while. When the meal is ready, I'll call you over to help. Chu Xia looked at the two of them in disbelief. You know how to use a pot stove, they all use gas stoves at home. Xia, why don't we look down on people too much? Lin Wenbin glanced at her dissatisfied. I'm not good at cooking, but I'm definitely good at cooking this big stove. As he spoke, he had already struck a match. I lit the fire several times, but it didn't light. Brother, did you use too much force when putting out the fire? Your hands are shaking. Chu Xia said as she stepped forward and took the match from his hand. Then he took out the thick wooden stick he put in the stove and grabbed a handful of soft wheat straw and put it in. Look at me, my brain is burned out. Lin Wenbin snatched the match from Chu Xia's hand. Okay, I know how to do it now, you can go in the house. Okay, Chu Xia responded. But she just leaned against the door and looked at him, without going back into the house. Zhou Mikang, who had already washed the rice and put the steamed buns on the grate, glanced at the clumsy Lin Wenbin and shook his head helplessly. If you really want to survive in the wild, will you starve to death? He said and pushed him away. A match was struck, attracting the soft grass under the stove, and then 2 more handfuls of soft grass were added. Pull the bellows, and then quickly grab some hard grass. After a while, the fire in the stove started burning brightly. Okay, now pull the bellows and let it burn. After a while, the water boils, and you let it slowly on. Brother, have you never lit a stove before? Chu Xia, who was still leaning by the door, looked at Lin Wenbin and asked curiously. No, this job has never been my turn, Lin Wenbin said and gave Zhou Mikang a thumbs up. Yes, I leave my sister to you, so we can rest assured. You just discovered it. Zhou Mikang rolled his eyes at him, found a big pickle knot and started to cut it into shreds. Not to mention, the group leader's knife skills were not very good. After a while, a bowl of thin pickle shreds was ready on the plate. This was the first time Chu Xia saw Zhou Mikang cooking, and her eyes widened in shock. Zhou Mikang, your skills are not bad, when did you master them? Do you feel that you have discovered another advantage of mine? Zhou Mikang smiled at her. If you stay with me for a long time, you will find more and more advantages. You said you were fat and you really started to breathe. She rolled her eyes at him, and Chu Xia returned to the west room with confidence. Mr. Zhao was telling Ms. Zhao about putting out the fire. Seeing Chu Xia come in, he waved to her with a look on his face. He said seriously, Xia, you have to live a good life with Xiaomi. This is such a good boy. This is the first time that Grandpa has seen such a good young man in his long life. Chu Xia's eyes rolled, better than brother Qi Liang. Of course, Mr. Zhao nodded affirmatively. Grandpa has always been proud of your brother Qi Liang, but compared to Xiaomi, your brother Qi Liang is really incomparable. Chu Xia said, the growing environments are different, so we can't compare them like this. It is precisely because of the different growth environment that it is even more difficult for Xiaomi to do such a thing. Mr. Zhao looked at his granddaughter seriously. You also grew up in the countryside. How many people have you seen, are men willing to cook for their families? Anyway, up to now, apart from your father occasionally helping your mother cook, I have never seen other men cook. Your uncle, he didn't even help your aunt add fire to the stove. Ken. What kind of background do you think the Zhou family has? It's not easy for someone to do something like this when they come to our house. You have to cherish it and don't always argue with him. Chu Xia protested, Grandpa, you are unfair. My eldest brother also helped light the fire. Why don't you praise him? Of course Wenbin is a good boy, but you are not marrying Xiaomi now. Of course I will take Xiaomi out and warn you. Chu Xia. Why are you too busy here? Well, we are in charge of breakfast today. The conversation between Lin Baohe and Zhou Mixang came in. Chu Xia quickly greeted her out, and saw her father choked like a nigger. Dad, where is my sister-in-law? Still there, I'll be back first. Dad, take a shower. You can eat later. While the two men were talking, Zhou Mixang had already adjusted the hot water. Chu Xia gave a thumbs up in praise. You are so virtuous. When Lin Baohe glared at her, she playfully stuck out her tongue and ran to the east room to tell Luan Xiaoxiang to wake up. What time is it? Luan Xiaoxiang looked at her with a confused look on her face. It's 6:30, get up quickly, breakfast will be ready soon. Chu Xia said, reaching under the quilt and twisting her waist. We got up at 3 o'clock, you are really like a pig when you fall asleep. What? We can't even make a fuss. What are you doing up so early? Luan Xiaoxiang asked with a puzzled look on her face as she stood up and put on her clothes. There was a fire at your third uncle's house. Everyone went to put out the fire. My sister-in-law and uncle haven't come back yet. What? Luan Xiaoxiang suddenly woke up and looked back at Chu Xia with wide eyes. You said there was a fire at my third uncle's house. My father and mother haven't come back yet? Are they okay? Of course it's okay. They are just helping to pack things over there. My father has just come back. If you are worried, just go over after dinner and take a look. Anyway, I won't go. I have nothing to worry about them. I just don't worry about my parents. As she spoke, Luan Xiaoxiang had already put on her clothes and folded the quilt. Chu Xia helped her push her shoes to the edge of the Kong with her feet. Then you hurry, I'm going to help clean up the food. Luan Xiaoxiang finished washing up, and it was time to start eating. Seeing her staring at the food on the table in a daze, Chu Xia said, my sister-in-law and uncle's share has been set aside, you can eat quickly. No, Luan Xiaoxiang waved her hands quickly, I'm not worried about this, I'm just wondering. After a pause, she continued, why is my brother-in-law's craftsmanship so good? Xiaoxiang, eat more. Old Mrs. Zhao gave her a bun. In the future, when looking for a son-in-law, follow the same approach as your brother-in-law. He has a good heart and will care about others. If you find a son-in-law like this, you will be blessed throughout your life. Luan Xiaoxiang blushed and smiled, I am not as lucky as Chu Xia. I just need to find someone who doesn't dislike my lack of education. Chu Xia smiled and poked her, you should say, you can find someone who doesn't mind you sleeping in bed. Disgusting, Luan Xiaoxiang glared at her and stuffed the bun into her mouth. Then, Chu Xia Tongzu ran out with her mouth covered. Zhou Mixang threw down the chopsticks and chased after her. Zhao Yulan was stunned, then ran out and saw her daughter. She vomited violently against the wall, and her son-in-law was gently patting her daughter's back. Sister. Luan Xiaoxiang, who followed later, looked confused. Sister, I didn't mean it. Are you okay? It's okay. Chu Xia had stopped vomiting now and waved her hand. It's none of your business. It's just that I smell the meaty smell of the buns. Maybe I ate too much meat last night. Now, I have to eat something plain. Zhao Yulan brought out a jar of warm water and handed it to Chu Xia. Rinse your mouth. When she went back to eat, Chu Xia refused to eat meaty dishes. She drank a bowl of millet porridge and ate some pickles. Zhou Mikang peeled an egg for her. She took it to her mouth and handed it back to Zhou Mi. Kang, I feel full just by looking at it. Xia. Mrs. Zhao waved to her. You accompany grandma to the west room to find something. Okay, Chu Xia responded, quickly helped the old lady get off the Kang, and walked to the west room together. Zhao Yulan also followed. As soon as she entered the door, old Mrs. Zhao lowered her voice and said, Xia, what's your menstrual period, when? After being stunned for a moment, Chu Xia realized the reason for the old lady's question. Her face turned red. Grandma, it's just happened in the past few days. In winter, I usually push back. How many days has it been delayed as usual? Zhao Yulan asked. Chu Xia thought about it seriously and said, every time I come, it's 3 to 5 days later than the last time I came. If this time is normal, I should come tomorrow. If you think the website is good, share it more. Thank you readers for your support. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 674. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend promotional introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. Second update arrived. Dong dong. Zhao Yulan opened the door and it was Zhou Mikang. Grandma, mother, I want to take Shuxia to the hospital. Yesterday at my sister-in-law's house, she also vomited. The couple looked at each other, and Mrs. Zhao nodded, okay, let's go check it out. Don't worry. It's okay, I'm just tired of eating these days. Chu Xia said reluctantly. She had also doubted the things that everyone suspected, but she had thought about it carefully, and her safety measures well done. There is absolutely no such possibility. Unless Zhou Mikang secretly dazzled the condom like some people did, but based on her understanding of Zhou Mikang, he probably wouldn't do that kind of thing. It's not that she didn't think about interrogating Zhou Mikang, but in the end she rejected her idea. If not, she would have made the regiment leader Tongzi angry again. Furthermore, doing this seems to be a sign of great distrust for the group leader, so she is still more inclined to diet. In the past few days since she came back, she has had a lot of food and meat. Maybe her body has protested. Even if you feel too tired after eating, you should go see a doctor and ask the doctor to prescribe some medicine to relieve tiredness. Seeing the unquestionable look on Zhou Mikang's face, Chu Xia had no choice but to compromise. Okay, let's just take a look. Can we go tomorrow? I happen to be visiting my great-aunt and grandma's family tomorrow, so I'll drop by. No, I'll go check it out today to feel at ease. Chu Xia looked at Mrs. Zhao and Zhao Yulan for help. She was mainly worried about the fire at Lin Baohai's house and was afraid that they would leave. Mrs. Lin and Mr. Lin came over to sort things out. Zhao Yulan smiled and touched the head of her beloved daughter, Amoruomu, and said, go ahead. I checked earlier and everyone feels at ease. We can take care of the family affairs. Don't worry about it. Okay, Chu Xia had no choice but to agree. Lin Wenbin also guessed it vaguely. This time he did not ask to follow, but pulled Chu Xia aside and whispered, come back after the examination and get the results. I will keep an eye on your family affairs, don't worry. The second uncle and second aunt will definitely not be bullied. Chu Xia said with a grateful face, "Thank you, brother. I didn't want to hear this." Lin Wenbin glared at her, "If you keep seeing others like this again, I will be angry." "Brother." Chu Xia looked at him seriously, "Everything at home depends on you. I must not let my parents suffer. Otherwise, I won't kiss you." "That's pretty much it." Lin Wenbin laughed happily, "Okay, let's go, maybe I will become your uncle." Haha, in the future, many people will compete with Zhou Mixang. Chu Xia looked at him speechlessly, not knowing what to say. When Zhou Mikang and Chu Xia were about to go out, Luo Xiaoxian came. "Where are you going?" Luo Xiaoxian asked with a surprised look on her face. "I'm taking a day off here today." "Why did you come here so late today? Where are Uncle Gangshun and Aunt Fat?" Luo Xiaoxian waved her hands angrily, "Forget it, my grandparents and uncle's family ran to our house early in the morning. Luo Lixian kept pestering me, and I finally ran out in time." "Have you eaten yet?" Chu Xia asked. "Have eaten." "Then come up and let's go together." "Let's talk on the way," Chu Xia said as she got into the car. Luo Xiaoxian also climbed up quickly. Seeing Lin Wenbin standing still, she looked in disbelief. "Brother Lin, you are not with us. Go together." "Well, you go ahead. I'll be looking after the house at home. If anything happens, it's convenient to get out of the car or something." Oh. Luo Xiaoxian nodded repeatedly. Brother Lin is really thoughtful. "I'm still wondering, you always loved Chu Xia so much, how can you not go with me? By the way, who is sick?" Chu Xia stroked her forehead speechlessly. "Me." After saying that, he waved to the elders outside the car. Zhou Mikang started the car and drove out. "What's wrong with you?" Luo Xiaoxian looked at Chu Xia up and down with worry on her face. "I feel uncomfortable in my stomach. I suspect that I have eaten too much and my stomach can't bear it." Luo Xiaoxian breathed a sigh of relief. "That shouldn't be a big deal. I used to do this during the Chinese New Year. I eat so well during this period of the year that I feel full easily." "Chu Xia. Is she that hopeless? What's the purpose of your grandma and her family coming to your house? What other purpose could there be? Let me help my cousin look out for a good son-in-law, let my parents help the uncle's family, talk about brothers fighting tigers, father and son soldiers in battle. Anyway, my grandfather heard him from reading books. It's all used. I'm confused. Why didn't he talk like this when my brother and I didn't serve in the army?" Chu Xia patted her shoulder and said nothing. "There is no comfort in this kind of thing. The customs in rural areas are like this now. If a person wants to make a living, he has to find a way to influence the whole family. Otherwise, you are ungrateful and impersonal. Anyway, everyone thinks so, so those who come to make requests are very confident. It seems that if you don't help him now, you are not a human being." If Lin Baohe's life experience had not been exposed, her family would have faced the same problems as Luo Xiaoxian's family, or even worse. "By the way, your third uncle's house was completely destroyed by fire yesterday, do you already know that?" Luo Xiaoxian asked. "Of course, my dad and others went to put out the fire. My grandpa, Zhou Mikang, and my eldest brother came early. My dad came back late. My sister-in-law is still there. My mother also went to help for a while. Oh, our whole family slept to death. If my grandparents hadn't gone to tell them, they wouldn't have known. By the way, I heard that they were all burned down. Is that true? Well, the house is basically uninhabitable, but the valuables are all fine." Hey, Luo Xiaoxian sighed. "It's hard for Uncle Baohe to do now. When my grandparents talked about this there, it was obvious that I thought Uncle Baohe should help. He said that even if he was not related to your grandparents, if they didn't care, he wouldn't have grown so big. Later, when he was looking for a wife, the old man also helped. Although he didn't have a lot of help, he was capable of putting it there. There was a younger one below. It's impossible to give up all your belongings for your father. I couldn't understand it, so I retorted a few words. As a result, they said that this was not what they thought, but that most people in the village thought so. No matter how bad the relationship is, at this point, you have to help. Listen, after this fire, many people are talking like this. With Uncle Baohi's temper, I think it is really difficult to do it. I originally ran away. I just wanted to tell you about this in the past. If you think the website is good, share it more. Thank you readers for your support. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it.